It's the final push for glory in Tour de Hongrie 2025. 170 kilometers remaining of this beautiful five-stage event as we head out of Champagne country, sparkling wine country, call it what you will. Esztergom will be the launching pad for the riders as they head north towards Esztergom today. The weather conditions not bad at all. Like a bit of viticulture, or indeed the cinema. Major editing house hereabouts as well. Been making wine, sparkling wine in particular, in Esztergom since the early 1700s. And of course, it played host to a stage of Tour de Hongrie 12 months ago. Finish line on that occasion. This time they're going to send the riders out with a small loop around the town just to get a feel for it, and then the riders will head north towards Esztergom with the little diversion towards a 28-kilometer loop that includes the Pilis climb, 3 times up and over this Category 2 ascent that could prove a little bit challenging for one or two of the sprinters in the field. And then we'll head up towards the shores of the Danube and that wonderful finishing 8-kilometer loop, 2.5 times around the town of Esztergom, which is dominated by that glorious and extraordinary basilica. It looms large over the town, indeed, across the Danube to Slovakia. It really is an imposing sight and a wonderful destination point for the Tour de Hongrie 2025, the 100th anniversary edition. The ceremony's complete, the jersey classification holders getting set to lead the riders away from the town of Esztergom, not too far from the nation's capital of Budapest. And Harold Marcin Lopez, resplendent in the yellow jersey, just 170 kilometers between himself and glory today. Danny van Poppel in the green jersey as leader of the points classification. Siebe de Weert owns that red jersey. Just a few points needed to confirm his status as King of the Mountains 2025. Balint Feldhofer in the white jersey of leader of best Hungarian rider. Weather conditions a little bit difficult for the riders. A threat of rain throughout the day. I would not expect it to recede. And big push right from the get-go. Siebe de Weert wants to get into that early break, see if he can just scoop those mountains points and maybe go for a little bit more, maybe stage honors in prospect. And there are other sports available, more serene and sedate occupations like fishing. Road race cycling at this level of intensity is, well, difficult stuff to say the least. What a great presentation here by the Lidl Trek squad as they put Albert Withen Philipsen to the fore to take the first intermediate sprint of the day. Nicely judged, nicely delivered, and the Danish teenager taking the 3 bonus seconds there, starting the day 13 seconds in arrears. So Albert Withen Philipsen remains in 3rd place overall, behind Harold Marcin Lopez, but now within 10 seconds. Tim Teutenberg just escorting and guiding the teenage rider through to the top spot there. And it's a useful gain, really, because it puts Philipsen now within 2 seconds of that 2nd place overall. Alessandro Covi feeling a little bit vulnerable, perhaps. And indeed, 10 seconds with 2 further intermediate sprints along the way, and then a challenging finale. That finishing circuit's going to be very interesting indeed. So, plenty of prospect for more exciting racing as the day develops. And speaking of developing, it's a wonderful development from not that long ago. Place of learning, quite famous in this part of the world as the attacks come hot and heavy. The early break taking a long time to establish itself. Really committed effort from all the riders today. One more opportunity to really make your presence felt in this event, so no surprise really that the early move isn't just skipping off up the road unopposed. This one looks pretty good though. Block is onto the front of the peloton. Is anything going to leak out the front of it? Looks to me as if the jersey classification holders and the main general classification contenders are more or less content with that one. Sprinters as well, satisfied that we've got a group of 7 riders clear of the field. Luca Colnagi's interesting, isn't he? The sprinter from the VF Group Bardiani CSF Faisane squad. Plenty of celebrations Plenty of horsepower as well in evidence here. As the first of our 3 assaults on the Pilis sees the 7-rider group opening up a 2.5-minute lead over the main peloton. Best placed rider in the group is the man in shot here, Owen Khalain of the Unibet squad. He'd be delighted that he's got a teammate, just one squad with multiple representation amongst the 7. Siebe de Weert, naturally enough, in here. Committed effort from the King of the Mountains leader. He's got that red jersey and within touching distance of that red jersey. It's 11%, it's a little bit of a gripper, 3 times up it, so plenty of challenge here. If they really want to go racing behind, it could put 1 or 2 of the sprinters into a little bit of difficulty. Looks as if they're certainly settling in for the long haul here in this group. Opening and potentially extending their advantage. Siebe de Weert has probably had a word and said, I'd really like to just take those mountains points. That's what I'm here for. No other rider in the breakaway group has accumulated any mountains points, so none are a threat. And Siebe de Weert just going to make the mathematical certainty of that red jersey, which has seemed assured since the very earliest moments of the week. And everybody hereabouts knows this hill well. Many of them have cycled up it today. Many of them who have cycled up it today have cycled up it numerous occasions in the past. The Shantou climb, well known to riders from the region, and beautiful leafy overhang as well. To welcome the riders up to the summit of the Pilis Shantou, first of 3 assaults on this particular effort, and it's 10 points claimed by Siebe de Weert, who has led the King of the Mountains jersey classification since the very start of 2024. And the first haul of points was on stage 2 then. He took the red jersey on stage 2, held it through to the end of the race, and he's been in it since stage 1 this week, and just owns it really, doesn't he? 2 successive seasons. Just has to ride it through to the finish line to claim that final red jersey on the podium. Siebe de Weert going well, having a good time and a good visit to the Tour of Hungary, but not so from the local rider from the Esztergom squad. Challenging moment really for Gonchi, Gergo Gonchi of the Esztergom Hungary cycling team. Listed as a non-finisher on the day, so a disappointing conclusion to his week in Hungary. For the breakaway riders, well, trying to extract something from it. Luca Colnaghi, 10th on day 1. Fine sprinter, but maybe just feels that he hasn't quite got the firepower to challenge the World Tour sprinters, particularly on what's a challenging final circuit and really difficult final kilometre, including some cobbles actually on that finishing circuit up around Esztergom. North of 4 minutes. Now the advantage for the riders. Still over 100 kilometres to go. So Jersey on the road by miles at this point. Starting the day 1 minute and 6 seconds behind Harold Martin Lopez's race lead is the Dutchman Owen Khalain. Khalain from the Unibet Titema Rocket squad. As his teammate Baptiste Hoyet in there. Tord Vikander also making his entrance. Esztergom Hungary cycling team, Norwegian rider and Hungarian rider with a Hungarian team. Jetini Siharto, first time in the break this week for a squad that's been ever present in the early move, Team United Shipping. And taking command of the breakaway, Jacopo Truba. Very experienced competitor, and certainly Siebe de Weert knows all about the early break in this particular event. This is his 3rd day out of 5 in the early move. He did something similar in 2024. Set to profit with a final visit to the podium. Bunch behind, large in number. Take 2 on the Pilis Shantou. Relatively short, relatively sharp. Not too much of a shock to the system, though, for those 7 riders as they control the pace and De Beer takes the points, the maximum haul of 10 points, and that does make it an absolute mathematical certainty that he will win that jersey, as if the issue was ever really in any doubt. Breakaway riders hoovering up the remaining points, and we focus our attention on what's happening at the front of the main peloton. Interesting appearance here from the Equipa Care and Pharma, the Spanish registered team. They've got Urko Baradi just hovering around the outer skirts of the top 10. 13th overall, 28 seconds back. Just 3 seconds actually would be good enough to move him into the top 10. So Karen Pharma fancy a bit of that. Mark Brustenia as well is having a fabulous week. He's had 3 top 7 finishes, indeed 2 7ths and a 4th on day 1 from Mark Brustenia of the Equipa Karen Pharma. So much for them to hope for and to work for at the conclusion of today. So they've put a rider onto the front to assist with the chasing, assist with the pacemaking. That'll be gratefully received by the World Tour squads, and particularly the Astana squad, because well, the more riders from other teams that are willing to ride on the front, the more it'll suit Harold Martin Lopez. Gradient's not proving any great challenge to the man who took the single summit finish. Inside 50 to go, and the advantage down to just a smidgen north of a minute and a half for Eric Vetter. Takes his leave of the peloton, wants to go up and visit the fan club and just say hi and acknowledge those that have been out painting the bed sheets overnight. Popular figure in this part of the world, the Hungarian rider Eric Vetter, fine climber, helped to set things up nicely actually for Balint Feldhofer, his teammate, his young teenage teammate, on day 3. So we get a little look at what's involved and what's in prospect now as they approach the finishing circuit. This is what the last kilometre looks like from our drone footage, and those cobbles are demanding. It's very narrow, as you can see as well, plenty of twists and turns. Becomes increasingly challenging actually as they work their way through that cobbled section. And this second little bunch of cobbles is particularly bone jarring, particularly narrow as well, and you get a sense as well of just how many twists and turns there are in that final kilometre. Left into right. This is where the intermediate sprint point is, and the final time of asking will make a right here and up to the Basilica. First time they'll see it. Final 150 meters is ramping up at round about 4%. Maybe even a bit more if you have your spirit level set up in a particular way. Anyway, it's going to be an interesting finale, not an absolute nailed-on one for the sprinters, or at least you would be surprised if it's not a sprinter that's not involved here, but it's not going to be the usual pattern, you feel. And there's the wonderful side of the Esztergom Basilica. It's a must visit actually if you're around here. Beautiful architecture. There's an absolutely fabulous restaurant in the basement down underneath the basilica. And there's the Maria Valeria Bridge. Slovakia on the left-hand side of the bridge. It's Hungary on the right. Stuck in the middle is the Danube River, winding and twisting its way through Central Europe. What a feature that is. Lidl Trek on the front now with Ryan Gibbons doing the needful. Done a lot of pacemaking this week. Double agenda really for the Lidl Trek squad. They want to protect their man Albert Withen Philipsen, his podium position. He's got a couple of seconds potentially to get on terms and maybe move up to second place overall. Maybe a little bit more in prospect for the young Danish rider. And then of course they've got Tim Thorn Teutenberg, who's must be chomping at the bit for an opportunity to improve on his string of thirds and second place finishes this week. Can he get to the top step, take that much wished for first professional racing success? Man who's a superstar on the track, of course, world champion in the velodrome. Challenging moments down to the final 17 kilometers. We're inside now the environs of Esztergom, and that's a nice piece of Tour de Hongrie, land art, or whatever you would call it, people art. They'll pop out and watch the rest of the race now, and looks like it's just a bridge too far for Siebe de Weert. Vikander as well, the Norwegian rider from Epernix, is also going south. Looks like we've got a major fracture here in the breakaway. Who's going to be the strong man? Hoyt is distanced. Kolnagi too, struggling to follow. And fine bit of riding here being demonstrated by the best placed man overall in the breakaway, Owen Khalain. He's taken Ortruba from Caharal with him. Kolnagi continues to push on to see if he can get back on terms, but as they come towards the intermediate sprint point, got 2 more sprints, first time of asking, cross this point. Third time round, we're going to make a right turn just there. But instead now we're going to go round and do another 8-kilometer loop. Do that twice. Khalain takes the 3 seconds. Start of the day, will remind you, 1 minute and 6 seconds down, so it's not going to make much of a difference to his overall situation, especially given that the Lidl-Trek squad, in combination with others, have closed this one down to just a smidgen over a quarter of a minute. So going to be difficult for those riders to survive. And the crowd have been assembling here for quite a while now, and most of them have got their vantage point on the finishing ramp up to the Basilica, craning their necks down to see the riders flash past, head out on another 8 and a bit kilometer loop. Ortruba, Czech rider, in combination with the young Dutchman Owen Khalain, proving to be strong and proving to be useful in some ways actually to the main peloton. Many of the sprinters will be happy enough that they've got them within their sights, but they haven't quite caught them at this point. Hayat, Kolnagi and Siharto combine, for now at any rate. What goes down must go up. Plunge down from the Basilica, and then they have to route their way back up and around the back of the Basilica, and on that cobble climb through to the finish line. Peloton towed along by Lidl-Trek, and now we're seeing the presence of the Jacob Alula squad for Dylan Groenewegen close to the front. Familiar purple jerseys starting to take an interest in the pace being set. It's been a great day out really for Harold Martin Lopez, in as much as other squads have done the pacemaking, have done the chasing, and they haven't had to invest too much. They've kept as many riders as possible available for the man in yellow. In the center of shot at the moment, Harold Martin Lopez is doing a really solid job. Not surprising really. He's been in the lead of a major international stage race within the last month or so. Tour of Hellas, ultimately claiming victory in Greece in that one. And this is a committed effort now from Baptiste Hayat, who wants to try and distance Kolnagi. Get clear of Siharto as well, and just race across solo to see if he can link up once more with his teammate Khalain up front. And he doesn't want to bring Kolnagi with him. But, maybe he's just been given a signal this is worth pursuing. He's got about 17 seconds, you can say, to as you can see, to get on terms with the lead duo. Committed effort from all the riders in the break, and indeed all the riders in the race today. It has been sort of full on all day. It hasn't been an easy one. For the confirmation of the positions intermediate sprint, not going to be relevant towards the overall general classification now. It's all about, for these riders, trying to hang on clear to claim a major result. But stage glory, you feel, still within the hands and the command of that main peloton. They have the group where they want them, with 15 kilometers remaining. 30 seconds is going to be tough to hang on to, but don't tell Ortruba or Khalain, they'll continue to believe. Jacob Ortruba makes way for Owen Khalain at the front. 24-year-old Dutchman Khalain, as his teammate, the Frenchman Baptiste Hoyt, just forming a cohort with Luca Kolnagi. Kolnagi, the 26-year-old Italian sprinter. 10th place on day one for Colnaghi, the best he could extract. Recent 7th place finisher in Presidential Cycling Tour of Turkey, but got a win actually in the Reggio Calabria race on home soil a couple of months ago. Siharto still racing solo and about to be claimed by the main peloton. Large in number, all of that early climbing, really coming too far from the finish line to challenge or to prevent the sprinters from maintaining position in the main peloton or getting back on. So the hills not playing the influence that they might have done. Well, I suppose some of the riders will have found it challenging to stay in there and may have burnt a few matches that weren't available in this final 12 kilometers. So you'll only find out at the finish line who's feeling chipper and fresh. Maybe they won't even know themselves right now. Oh, Hoye, will he manage to link up once more? Well, you wouldn't bet on it, showing it half a minute down, and well, the peloton's surely going to claim those two riders before those two riders get to this duo, or Truba on the front, giving a great account of himself. 27-year-old Czech rider. A little flick of the elbow sends Helene through to the front. Or Truba, former national champion of Czechia. Hoye is going to be winched in under the watchful eye of Tim de Klerk, who's the Lidl Trek engine on the front at the moment. The tractor dragging along the main peloton, the yellow jersey of Harold Martin Lopez. Plenty of teammates around him, all of whom will be grateful for this Lidl Trek pacemaking. So Helene's general classification threat, such as it was, has been easily controlled, and now Harold Martin Lopez will just be vigilant and mindful of the threat of Alessandro Covi. Albert Withen Philipsen and others as well in close attendance. First 14 riders covered by just 30 seconds in this event. First 24 riders by a minute. Well, tough to close a gap a minute. Even 30 seconds would be difficult to find at this moment, but yeah, worth pointing out that Albert Withen Philipsen is within 10 seconds, and in second place Alessandro Covi within 8 seconds overall. Starting the day. Q36.5 make an appearance at the front. Well, they've got multiple options for stage honours, also for overall honours. Harm van Houke beginning the day in 9th place at 25 seconds, and looking perhaps to try and present their man into prime position. Down to just half a minute advantage for your duo out front, and the Q36.5 squad maybe mindful of the opportunity at the final intermediate sprint of the week. 3 2 and 1 bonus seconds available at the sprint line with 8 kilometers remaining. The breakaway duo surely going to claim the 3 and the 2 bonus seconds. Maybe the 1 second will be of interest. And Giacomo Nizzolo, also a rider they'll want to have in prime position. The Q36.5 Pro Cycling squad have Nizzolo, 7th and 6th place finishes from the 3 sprints we've had this week. Meanwhile, Helene and Truba hit the cobbles. And this is the final kilometre of the circuit. You understand, we'll get the bell next time round. They crowd around the Q36.5 riders at the front. Luke Durbridge waiting to take his turn on the front and continue the pacemaking. It's been a feature of his work for the entire week. Harold Martin Lopez looking good. Teammates about. and staying vigilant and close to the front of the field. Riders from the Jaco Alula squad as well. Thoughts of glory for Dylan Groenewegen. Groenewegen within the first 20 riders at the moment. Looking good. And he double up. This is the final kilometre, and the winding, twisting, cobbled confusion that is going to await the riders next time round. At least they'll have seen it on a couple of occasions. Up that central ridge is the closest thing to a bit of relief you're getting from those jarring pieces of pave. Not quite Flanders, Ronde van Vlaanderen style, certainly nothing like Paris-Roubaix, but nonetheless a little bit of a shake-up for the riders and the bikes. That was the 100 meters to go point for the intermediate sprint. There's the 200 to go for the bike race. Next time round they'll go right here, and it's Ortruba that takes the 3 bonus seconds on offer there. Such as it is, he's not a threat overall. Here comes Covey, Alessandro Covey, starting the day in second place overall, 8 seconds down. Fancies pinching another one here. Harold Martin Lopez just latching on to his teammate Saritza, but he's not going to score. It is going to be Covey who's going to take the third and final bonus second there. Just to make it a little bit interesting, he's now 7 seconds in arrears. Just shores up his position in second place there, Covey, by moving a further second clear of Albert With and Philipsen. Philipsen seemingly secure in third place. But Harold Martin Lopez needs to be ever vigilant through this final 8 kilometers to ensure that he does not let any gap go in the peloton. We want to get to 3K to go to ensure that he gets the time of the group that he's in, should he encounter any mechanical issue or a crash or whatever. But also any little fracture in the peloton. In a finale like this, winding, twisting, bumpy, uphill, plenty of opportunity for little splits in the peloton that could potentially be injurious to your general classification situation. Well, there you have it. It's down to 7 seconds. The lead for Harold Martin Lopez. Albert Withen Philipsen gained at the first sprint today. He's 10 seconds behind. The leaders up front, their advantage being paired back, albeit hanging on close to 20 seconds. Ortruba. First year at pro team level at the age of 27. He's finally vaulted up from continental level. He's a familiar figure actually from races from this part of the world. Racing with the ATT investment squad for several years, the Elkhoff Casper team. Finally at Division 2 level, it's what many believe, or some would contend, is proper professional paid ranks. Of course, many and most riders are paid at the continental level as well, maybe just not enough to be considered a decent living wage. Bahrain victorious, trying to extract something from the week. Been a challenging week indeed, with Phil Bauhaus forced to retire yesterday from the race, 8th on the first day for Bauhaus, but Torsten Train arriving into today, 15th overall at 32 seconds. Maybe an opportunity for him to move up overall. Alberto Brutomesso just hovering around the outskirts of the top 10 as well. 11th and 12th place finishes for the emerging Italian sprinter. So he got the legs for today's finale. Scalene got enough to drop Ortruba. More particularly, have either of them got the legs to hold off this main peloton. Inside 6 to go, and with just 17 seconds in advantage, and you certainly wouldn't bet on it. There'll be a huge gain in the final few kilometers as the big engines start to rev. And save their energy as best they can throughout the day. Ortruba urgently requests a contribution. Still the counter-attacks come. Main peloton behind being nicely controlled by Luke Durbridge and the Jaco Alula squad. What's the situation for Dylan Groenewegen? Greatly relieved to take his first victory of the season in yesterday's 4th stage. So Groenewegen feeling chipper. Nothing succeeds like success, but this is a challenging finale. I wonder which sprinters are really up for this one. Inside 5 to go, and inside 20 seconds the advantage for Owen Helene, who hits the front once more in his first season with the second season with the Unibet squad, coming on the back of several years with the Jumbo-Visma development team in his native Netherlands. Now 2 teams seemingly absolutely hell-bent on ensuring that this is Gruppo Compato into the final kilometre. So it's the Lidl Trek squad piling on the watts behind in the company of Jaco Alula. And they have it down to just, well, a third of a minute inside 4 kilometres remaining for Truba and Helene. It's been a brave and impressive resistance, actually. It's not like they're holding a whole lot back behind. And judging this one nicely. And Luke Durbridge looking like he's pretty close to the limit at this point. Be grateful for a teammate's assistance. The Jaco Alula team fully invested in gunning for stage honours this week. 3, 2, and 1. 3rd, 2nd, and 1st place finishes for Dylan Groenewegen in the sprint so far. Can he, like Danny van Poppel, back it up with a 2nd successive win? Well, Van Poppel is amongst those who'd like to prevent it, putting himself in prime position, sitting on the coattails of the Jaco Alula lead-out train. There's Danny van Poppel lacking his own lead-out, at least because he's normally the final lead-out man himself. And Sam Welsford, his sprinter, has unfortunately crashed out injured. We wish him well in his recovery. Jaco Alula in control on the front and seemingly in control. 17 seconds, inside 3 to go. They still have this at the kite. They have a racer's chance. And the peloton looming large. Is that really fully 20 seconds? Looks pretty close. The rise up to the Basilica, the final rise. The road will challenge them now. The cobbles beckon as well. And that winding, twisting, narrow road, tough to gain control, all the pain of it. Or Truba, his face revealing the extent of the investment here. Another urgent flick of the elbow. And Tim de Klerk, he's at the end of his tether as well. He's done a long shift on the front. Productive indeed as it is. Across the bridge, that's a little sort of offshoot, little tributary of the Danube. And into the beautiful old town of Esztergom at the final time of asking. 2 kilometres remaining. Helene, his jaw set. And a little peek under his elbow gives him the bad news. They're surely crowding around and get on terms. 1,800 metres remaining in the final kilometre. They'll gain all of those 10 seconds, you feel. Might even have it before they get to that, because this is a committed power play here from the Jaco Alula team. They've got Danny van Poppel, the Red Bull Bora Hansgrohe rider, 3rd in line here. And where is their sprinter? Well, because Dylan Groenewegen's nowhere to be seen at the moment. Great presence here from the Jaco Alula squad. But are they trying to set something up maybe for Luka Mezgec? They've, I think, switched their thinking. Dylan Groenewegen's marked absent, but Danny van Poppel fancies latching onto the coattails of the Jaco Alula squad. Worked well earlier on in the week. We'll see what can possibly be achieved from that position just yet. The rest trying to crowd around as well. The Astana team trying to set something up, potentially for Malucelli, but mostly you feel to protect the overall general situation for Harold Martin Lopez. He won't want to be on the wrong side of any split in the peloton. Groenewegen is still there, hanging on in there. And he has two lead-out men in front of him. Tim Thorn Teutenberg as well looking to move up. Danny van Poppel maintaining a position close to the very front here. Policy being presumably that they're going to be crowding from behind, wants to be able to latch on to riders as they come past. And Danny van Poppel knows the way to play it. Puts himself, intercedes in between the two UAE Team Emirates squad. The familiar figure of Ivo Oliveira, his brother Roy Oliveira, normally takes up this position. Not a bad understudy. The other Oliveira brother. On the front for Juan Sebastian Milano sitting in third place. Danny van Poppel in second. Tim Thorn Teutenberg moving up into fourth place. Kopetsky for Team Novo Nordisk tries to move into another wonderful top four position for the Team Novo Nordisk squad. Groenewegen's going to struggle to stay in touch here inside 300 meters remaining into the final series of bends, and the UAE Team Emirates squad have taken command here as they move through the penultimate bend and make the right turn towards the Basilica. It's Danny van Poppel in second place. He's going to take it up and lead the sprint as Juan Sebastian Milano comes up and over him. Will Juan Sebastian Milano be able to? He's already up and he's clear, and Juan Sebastian Milano is going to get the victory. Arms held wide as the glory is achieved by Juan Sebastian Milano of the UAE Team Emirates squad. He takes the victory on stage 5 of Tour of Hongrie, and it is, at the final time of asking, a sensational success for Juan Sebastian Milano, the Colombian rider from the UAE Team Emirates squad. Well, what a lead out that was. And Danny van Poppel, if he had it into the final turn, he might well have been able to fend off Juan Sebastian Milano, but ultimately it was a really, really impressive delivery of power there by Juan Sebastian Milano, never in question. From the moment they made their way through the final bend, he accelerated up and around the Dutchman, and Tim Thorn Teutenberg in third place once again. A remarkable series of podium finishes. There's confirmation. Milano gets the victory, second of the season ahead of Danny van Poppel. Tim Thorn Teutenberg, his third place of the week.
Today I have really good legs. Also decline. Also now in the final circuit, and I speak with the team. I try to the bonus second for Kobe, but it's impossible, no? And I'm very happy. My team here is really, really amazing. Mohamed, all they pull in the front. Also Ivo and Kobe, also Rui and Pablo. Really, really good team. I'm very happy for this victory. And nothing. Thank you.
That's seventh top 10 of the finish of the season, indeed, for Juan Sebastian Milano. Second victory, 5 podiums in that time, and it's a consistent run, actually, you would have to say, for the 30-year-old Colombian rider. Nice bit of glassware. Nice bit of glassware, and plenty more besides for Harold Martin Lopez. 7 seconds to the good at the conclusion, ahead of Alessandro Covi and Albert Withen Philipsen. And it's a first ever success in the Tour de Hongrie for Ecuador.
Can we say, is this the biggest win of your career?
Yeah, I am very happy because today for me was a very difficult day, because it's like a classic day, because it start with a bit rain, also 3 steep climb, and after a lot of wind. In the end, especially the compensation was perfect for me, because my teammates were full gas, worked very hard for me. Also, with the yellow jersey is a bit more pressure, because the yellow is the best color for the cycling. So I am very happy. This is for my team, because a lot of confidence for me. So I am very happy and only enjoy this moment.
4 wins this season for Harold Martin Lopez, including 2 major international stage race successes. Ecuador rider really emerging as a major one-week stage race contender. Time to spray the bubbly. Etiek's finest. Sprayed in front of the Basilica here at the conclusion of the Tour de Hongrie. It's been a wonderful week of racing. Sensational result and a fabulous delivery from Harold Martin Lopez. Danny van Poppel secures the points classification with his 2 wins and 2 second places ahead of Tim Thorn Teutenberg and Dylan Groenewegen. Regular podium visitors, the other pair. And for a man who came in as lead-out man and emerged with 2 stage victories, 2 second places, and the green jersey of winner of the points classification. Pretty good week for him. Siba de Weert owns that red jersey. He has commanded the King of the Mountains classification for 2 successive years in Tour de Hongrie. He's held that red jersey since the very beginning of the 2024 edition, and ultimately dominant victory in the climbing. Prize for the 22-year-old Belgian rider from Team Flanders, Balois. A proud moment for him. Balint Feldhofer, 7th overall for the emerging teenage star from Hungary. A huge moment for him in his career, and taking the white jersey for the best Hungarian rider. And surely one for the future for the team United Shipping. The star brought a camera to the podium to make some memories. But it's Harold Martin Lopez that leads the jersey classification holders at the conclusion of the Tour de Hongrie. Fabulous 2025 edition, 5 glorious stages, and a wonderful overall success for Harold Martin Lopez.